Thank you for listening to the Power 92.3 WKVR. Welcome back to Please Cancel Me with Jdox. In this episode, we throw bowling balls out of the studio, fillet a life-size wax sculpture of Gumby, and interview a swarm of wasps. John Madden, 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 John Madden. Come to Nathan 216 in the next 2 days if you want to watch Kamen Rider from start to finish, because my life is now effectively over.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Please Cancel Me on the Power 92.3 WKVR. I am the problem, and I am the best radio DJ that knows how to pick the lock to the studio. I don't have anyone joining me here today, unfortunately. Just an empty chair sitting in front of me, sadly, full of ghosts of friends who have abandoned me. But I came in on the radio show anyway. I just noticed that it was also nothing playing prior to me even getting up on here. So presumably over all of spring break leading up to right now, there has been radio silence, which means a different thing, the term radio silence, than actual silent radio. Yeah, that's a weird idea, that there's dead air but not radio silence for radio. Doesn't matter. So I'm up here now, and I don't know if I should be or not. I don't know if there was an email that said the station's not going to be back on for a while, or someone just forgot to leave the generic canned audio back on. But I'm here to play some weird experimental garbage and be a nuisance. So it's been a while since I played any Kitten Jesus, and he's like a guy that I just know on the internet, and he's really cool. So I'm going to play a Kappa in the deep end of my swimming pool again. Hit him up on Kitten Jesus on SoundCloud. Tuesdays with Hikikomori on Tumblr. That was a Kappa in the deep end of my swimming pool by Kitten Jesus. This is the Power 92.3 WKVR, the show Please Cancel Me, the hottest street trash abscess on the radio signals. I'm the problem, or Jdox, whichever the alias is this week. I left it in the introduction wrong. And so recently, in terms of a white man appropriating black culture, I've gotten really into the habit of taking pictures of me squatting in front of things, which I find very fun. I went to Salem, Massachusetts, hanging out on all these witch places. First off, Salem is a fantastic place to be a goth in 8th grade in that town, because there are like 500 shops full of candles and incense and burning things and fake voodoo dolls and skull daggers and all kinds of bizarro, like exaggerated Hot Topic town shops. It's incredible. And we were walking around, my friends and I, just walking into dozens of these like same little packages of spice and incense and funky crystals and candles. It was crazy. Real occult, real new age. A lot of auras going on around there. I was razzing on my one friend who was really into that stuff by just holding up a crystal to the light and go like, good auras coming out of this one. I like the auras in this crystal. Anyway, but I happened to squat in front of the historic witch house, which I don't know if the witches lived in the house or that was the courthouse where they died, or if that was just the house. It was just a house. I went to the graveyard too that was buried under like 3 feet of snow or something, because Boston is pretty much Hoth currently, and just squatted down in front of graves, squatted on a stump. Yeah, it was fun. We were stepping on graves. It was pretty disrespectful, pretty haunted, pretty cursed now, coming away from that. So I don't really know exactly what I'm going to play or what I'm going to do and talk about. Just, kind of freeform, just blathering about whatever I got. So coming up now is the Kamen Rider Phase theme song. It's nice. Oh my god, I love Sentai culture. That was the Kamen Rider Phase theme song. I just found out about all of the myriad different seasons of Kamen Rider there are around there. And I'm really getting into Super Sentai culture and media and stuff. If you don't know what that is, you might know Power Rangers. Well, Power Rangers was like an American adaptation of these Sentai shows in Japan, where like all of the teens or whatever in Power Rangers, when they're just like normal kids, that was all footage that they shot themselves for the Power Rangers show. But all of the fighting footage, when they're in their goofy, colorful costumes or robots with their big dumb swords and like sparking explosions and Morphin Time, everything, that is all footage lifted directly from these original Japanese Sentai shows that like started out with Kamen Rider and stuff, and there's just so many of them, and there's tons of different kinds, and like for every season of like ridiculous Power Rangers, like new Power Rangers, there's the original Japanese one, and what I gotta do is go back and watch all of this because it's just really incredible to me. It's so ridiculous and campy and colorful and outrageous, and God, I love it so much, especially the character and costume designs. I think in like another life, I would just design costumes for Sentai shows. They're so cool, like ridiculous, colorful techno armor and ridiculous weapons and everything. And then you've got the big monsters where it's like a giant thing made out of pumpkin or something. It's just a big, ridiculous pumpkin suit. Oh man, I just swoon over this kind of stuff. It's so cool. Well, my biggest turn on is good character design, as they say, and just everything, all the art around it, like this subculture of these ridiculous superhero television shows in Japan. This started back in like the 80s or something. Just has generated so much cool art and subculture around it, and I wish I knew how to put it into words and articulate how I feel about like the sort of depth and complexity I might even just be imagining in these sort of things, but it just astonishes me. And I've been hitting that same wavelength for a lot of different kinds of stuff that I've been seeing around recently. Like my best friend up here, the Door That Always Skates, who I've referenced a couple times on this show, he is, of course, really big into skating culture, and he watches all of these videos and movies and stuff about it. And it's really so much more than just videos of people skating. It's these like really complex and interesting, very artistic films, like short films about it. And they use it to also showcase street art and independent music through these videos, and I'm just really getting into seeing skateboarding as like a very performative physical art form. It's very much like dancing, like a ballet to me at this point, where it's just this really careful composure and more freeform, I guess, in composure, and more less rigid and planned and prepared and practiced than ballet or something or any sort of other dance form would be, but very interesting and organic in its own way. And I wish I could I didn't prepare anything to talk about this. I'm just totally going off improvising on it, so my articulation is of course total crap and I can't express what I'm trying to think about it. But there's just so much richness and complexity to it. I want to start drawing like pose and anatomy studies based on skateboard, just people doing skateboarding, because like the way their body moves and the way just the human form like shifts through poses as you skateboard is really fascinating to me right now. Anyway, but this is a radio show. Y'all didn't come here to, hopefully nobody came here at all. Y'all didn't come here to listen to me talk about God knows what. So, coming up now, Sufjan Stevens, Age of Odds, A-D-Z, Odds. Okay. Oh God, what am I talking about? I am just speaking so far out my own ass. Is that on the words? No, I can say ass. Ah, God damn. I'd be saying speaking on my ass this whole time. Oh my God. Actually, thank God nobody's in here with me because I just farted insane. That was Age of Odds by Sufjan Stevens. Oh, I was going to talk about something. Oh yeah, I'm still not done belaboring the topic of Sentai shows. I've been seeing it again because I used to be into Power Rangers so much as a kid, and I'm seeing it now in this new way with my, expanded consciousness and viewpoint that you get going to a liberal arts college, like some yuppie trash. But I'm like, well, I'm not talking about seeing like political ideologies or anything in it, but just the trends and stuff, the trends of the media and the way things work, and everything about it is simultaneously amazing and awesome and hilarious and just trash in it to me, because the choreography of all these fight scenes like vary between good like kung fu fighting and ridiculous pratfalls and exaggerated, just ham-fisted like performance art. And it's really interesting the way they fight. I want to know, like, it fills me with so many questions. I want to know how they make either these goofy, like, plastic weapons or goofy plastic armor and which of these is like loaded with pyrotechnics, so that every time somebody like slashes at someone with a sword, they will like burst into sparks. And I'm like, that can't be CGI. There's plenty of CGI with like electricity and God knows what else they do in these fight scenes. But there's always these sparks. For every single hit, there's like a bunch of sparks and smoke flying off of the putty patrol or whatever. And that's just great practical effects to me. And it makes no sense. It looks like garbage. It doesn't look like anything. Why would a sword like do huge sparks off of a monster made out of pumpkins or something? But it's fantastic in its own way, and it's ridiculous. I love that in Sentai, the bad guys will never shoot the good guys with lasers, but they will shoot the ground directly behind the good guys so that it explodes and sends them all in a front flip forward. And I want to know why that started and how they do that. It's just all so incredible to me. And I want to get back to thinking about all the costume design, because they make so many of these outrageous, ridiculous costumes about what I must assume is like foam and plastic and stuff. But these just goofy, insane, colorful monstrosities of character design. And that is just constantly extremely fascinating for me. Is my mic up high enough? So if anyone hasn't listened to this show before, first off, we don't reflect the views of any of Juniata College or WKVR in any way, and I should hope not, because that would be an incredible school to go to, for me at least. But also that I never come in here with a plan for anything. I'll like write up something for the news, but I mostly just improv talk. And it's kind of just practice for me at this point. I'm trying to get into, I don't know, podcasting or something or anything, and just talking to people, any sort of internet performance, whatever. Who knows, really? But even just getting up in here and talking out of my ass for an hour and just saying a bunch of ridiculous nonsense to presumably only my parents listening to me, because this radio has been broadcasting silence for, I can only assume, like 5 or 6 days. And then on a Saturday afternoon, people are going to start tuning in to see if something's back on. I don't know. Anyone out there who is listening to me and doesn't know who I am and doesn't know what I'm doing, send letters to me. Send letters to Please Cancel Me, Juniata College, Box 726. That is at 1700 Moore Street, Huntingdon, PA 16652. Again, that is Box 726. Or hit me up on Tumblr, pleasecancelme.tumblr.com. I got a Facebook group, which there's been zero activity in either of those ever. But I'm always checking it, and I'm always active, just in case somebody wants to talk to me. I'm desperate for human contact. But I like coming up and doing this just because it is practice. It's speaking practice, and it's just getting thoughts out of my head in an improvisational way and learning to articulate on myself on the spot practice, which is incredibly difficult. You should have heard the first couple shows I did where I was fumbling and stumbling and just making a huge mess up in here. I kind of know how the system works. But I've been really just about trying to get practice at anything. I'm not really trying to make anything or do anything right, but as long as I can just do something, anything bad, that the volume of something that I put out just as practice is going to get me better at it. Hopefully. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. They always just say you just have to do it over and over again, and it's got to be bad for a long time. In anything, in any art that I'm hypothetically trying to do, any creative output. But, so this happened to me recently, the other day. I don't have a lot of writing practice. I haven't written a bunch of stuff because it's hard. I always try to do National Novel Writing Month every year, which is like to do over the course of November a 50,000 page novel. You do a little bit every day, and I can never get past like 5,000 words or something. So that always falls through. But out of nowhere, for some reason on Wednesday night, I got into this weird headspace, and I wrote until 3 in the morning 5,000 words of erotica for no reason. It was so weird. I could read you an excerpt of it over the radio, but I don't think that would be appropriate. No, I'd be entirely too uncomfortable because it gets pretty weird. Anyway, I'm going to take it back to some music then. How about that? And stop talking about this. Here's Tribulations by LCD Sound System. That was LCD Sound System, Tribulations. This is the Power 92.3 WKVR. The show is Please Cancel Me. I am the problem. And what did I leave off on? Oh, writing. No, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. That's more than enough. You know, the follow-up, best part, I think, to this show every week is a very hard to find, obscure live performance of me listening again to the show as I've recorded it on Audacity, pretending to edit it to upload to the internet, and cringing the entire time. It's fantastic. In fact, what I'm going to do is set up a webcam so that I can then rebroadcast myself cringing at it, because that is in itself, I think, the best thing that comes out of the show in a lot of cases. But yeah. God, oh my God, this is the worst dead air I've ever had. But I've been trying to edit all of these, like the last 7 or 8 episodes of this show or something. I can't edit them. I just can't do it. My brain is just preventing me from doing it. But that's the sort of thing I need to do to take this to the mainstream and then be canceled forever. I'm just going to switch right back into music. I don't have anything to talk about. This is Alvanoto and Ryuichi Sakamoto, Vrion. Die without ever giving a fuck. That was a bit of Alvanoto and Ryuichi Sakamoto, Vrion. Whatever this album or something, I can't tell if it's divided into smaller songs, but it is about an hour long, so I wasn't about to play that whole thing. Someday, though, I might honestly just come up here in the studio and put on some 5-hour long techno and just let that go and ignore it and then, okay, back to what I'm supposed to be doing, the weather. I missed the PSA, but I hate these PSAs. Okay. The weather of Huntington, Pennsylvania right now, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. It's finally getting there. And the headline on the Weather Channel is "Things could take a turn for the worse," with a big red splotch of nightmarish firestorms circling over New Orleans. One of my favorite things about the Weather Channel is how weather is supposed to be very subdued and very mundane, but the Weather Channel, in the sense of the modern 24-hour news networks, puts the most alarmist headlines right big on the front of their website, and I think it's so funny constantly. I always tell the story about the first time I did radio on this show. I booted up weather.com, and it was just, lava flow approaches small town. I thought, well, I hope that's not us. It's always just worse, though. Like, the storm's going to get worse, the cold's going to get worse, it's all awful, which is clickbaiting. Anyway, I've been thinking about subcultures and stuff. Like, I was talking about Sentai and skateboarding and all this other dumb crap, but I see so much, like, incredible, weird art and creativity spewing out of all of these modern subcultures, and that is so fascinating to me. One of the things I looked up, because I'm from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh every year, at least I think so, in the summer, hosts Anthrocon, a very large convention for furry culture and anthropomorphic animals, and first off, that's just a crazy scene. If you're at all familiar with furries on the internet, then you know how bizarre it can get. But just that people would spend the time and money constructing these huge mascot costumes of their personas, like these anthropomorphic animals that they identify with, like, existentially, it's really bizarre, and in a lot of ways it's scary, because I'm looking at some of these pictures, and there is a terrifying, I think it's an owl. I think he's supposed to be an owl man in army fatigues, and it just looks like a nightmare. But so it's weird, and there's a lot of stigma about furries on the internet and stuff, but I think about that stuff in the culture, and people, and not passing judgment on for whatever purposes these people do this stuff, but they focus so much time and energy, and they do more creative things better than I do. I think about that because I try to draw stuff, but there's just so much art that comes out of this weird, vaguely sexual, bizarro stuff that I have a hard time wrapping my head around, but it's just that the culture is so vibrant and active in its own way that even that is kind of just magical and impressive to me. But I'm looking at these pictures because when this article about, like, the furries are back, I'm looking at the website for the Pittsburgh Action News, and they're just talking about the furries are back, Anthrocon's here again. Send us in pictures if you see these furries on the streets. First of all, this takes place in the middle of July, and I can't imagine wearing these huge mascot costumes all day in July. And some of them look like the news asked them to send pictures in. If you see any on the streets, like, take a picture, send it in, tweet us at us. And some of them look like mascots, and some of them look like Disney World characters, and some of them look like DeviantArt. And then there are some that are just terrifying. There are some that are really creepy looking, and I don't know if that, comments on the craftsmanship of these suits depending on them, but they're just really terrifying. There's like a hyena I'm looking at right now, and it looks like some Guillermo del Toro movie or something. It looks like a Cronenberg film. It's really freaky. Anyway, that's enough about that. I'm going to put more music on. Here's Folk Metaphysics by Milo. Ugh. This is kind of turning out to be like one of the better and one of the way worse shows I've ever done. That was Folk Metaphysics by Milo, or Milo, however you pronounce it. I've been sitting here in the station this entire time, and through talking about how I feel about weird cultures and subcultures and art and stuff, I've been having like this profound, weird, existential thing about it. Just feeling that there's so much complex expression and creativity going on in the world right now, and I love that the internet is such an extreme conduit that lets me see just even a tiny fraction of it that I'm currently struggling to comprehend. But it's incredible. It feels like getting thrown into a swirling ocean of weird colors and all kinds of just a sea of information that's moving really fast and in really erratic and bizarre ways, and I'm trying to evolve fins and gills to even begin to navigate these bizarre currents of information. So that's what I like to think about. I'm not on drugs, not currently, but I am sitting in a studio, and that's about as close as wow, that sentence died before it even lived. This is the Power 92.3 WKVR. The show is Please Cancel Me. I'm Jdox. I'm up on Tumblr and Facebook and SoundCloud under Please Cancel Me. Oh my god, I haven't done news. It's 50 minutes past the hour, and I have not gotten to the news segment yet. So, Juniata College news, campus news for, what is the date today? March 21st, the year of our Lord, 2015. Following the performance of San Jose Taiko last night, the large drums used in their performance will be available to touch, play, and interact with sexually in the lobby of Von Liebig through this Thursday. I'm kind of just reading the announcements for this. Vehicle registration is online at the school's secure website for students to register to park on campus for next year. Vehicles currently not eligible include bobsleds, insects of rideable size, roller skates, rickshaws, biplanes, and enchanted mounts such as skeletal horses or fey wyverns. M1 Abrams tanks are permitted, but parking is restricted to the lot behind Nathan Hall. Wednesday, April 8th, is the Passport Fair from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Ellis Ballroom. Juniata will be bringing in a workshop of 4 master forgers to demonstrate and teach us about document fabrication and give out free passports at the end. The students will also be using this to gauge interest. The school will also be using this, to gauge interest in possibly starting a new course on forgery. So I'll be there for sure. I've always wanted to learn a valuable craft like that. Students with POEs in embezzlement should also consider using the event as a networking opportunity. The Sign Language Club dinner on March 27th in the Still boardroom of the VLB, Von Liebig. Tickets are $8 outside Baker. For more information, contact. Again, the dinner is the Nonviolent Protest Training Session hosted by Dr. Polly Walker. No, that's not real. It is real. But the fake joke I was going to make about it is not. The Student Alumni Association final meeting and donuts is March 23rd at 7 p.m. in the Brumbaugh Alumni House. Keep in mind that it is intended to be the final meeting, so if you are not a student alum, do not attend or eat any of the donuts at the meeting. That's all for news. That was one of the worst. Okay, I'm going to switch into Roller Mobsters. Roller Mobster by Carpenter Brute. Tight. Fucking tight. This is a jam. This is a jam if I've ever seen one. Oh, that ended abruptly. That was Roller Mobster by Carpenter Brute. That's a great hot techno jam to beat people's skulls into. This has been the Power 92.3 WKVR. I am the problem. This is the show Please Cancel Me. Find us on Facebook and Tumblr and SoundCloud, and please talk to me because I have really nothing to do but come up on here and waste your valuable time and valuable bandwidth airspace talking about Kamen Rider. So I'm going to set this back to the default WKVR playlist and leave it until next week. I don't know if anyone else is coming in. Alright, see y'all. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Oh god, that was so bad, man. Skibidi beep 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 ba ba da ba bum ba bum bum bo beep My opera career is really taking off. Silence.